one of the best homemade remedies that I know of that a colleague at Cornell University told me about probably 18 or 20 years ago, and I've told everybody on earth about it since, is she accidentally ended up making up a spray using ivory dish soap and liquid kelp concentrate, which she was using as a foliar fertilizer, and she took a bottle. It's seaweed extract. She took a bottle that had some of it left in it and didn't realize, a spray bottle, and she mixed up some soap spray just by hand. And ended up, the combination of those two had a synergistic effect. The soap, of course, makes water wetter, and the kelp is normally used as a foliar feeding, and the combination of the two was just murder on aphids. And any aphid that got wet with it died. But the other interesting thing was the plants uptake a foliar feeding, and they end up just being kind of beefed up because of it, and the residue afterwards is not toxic to any beneficial that's crawling over it. But for some reason, aphids, she noticed in her data, aphids would not recolonize where that spray hit the plant for 2 to 3 days. The other thing she noted was she was able to use it every 2 to 3 days consecutively, almost as long as she wanted to without harm to the plant. And the dilution that she gave me was to 1 gallon of water, mix 2 to 3 tablespoons of liquid kelp concentrate and 2 to 3 tablespoons of dish soap. It could be ivory liquid, that's what she used. It could be Dr. Bonner's. That's it. That's all there was to it. And I've always told people, from my own preference, I started with 2 tablespoons of each. It looks like real weak tea when you get it made up. And keep it in a spray bottle, keep it in the dark when you're not using it. And literally, when I'm working in a greenhouse, I just hook that spray bottle in my hip pocket, and as I'm working along, if I notice a plant that's got aphids clustered on a stem, or like a pepper plant where they get down into that top part before it's really growing fruit, you can just blast them right then and save yourself a lot of trouble. And the other thing that I got in the habit of doing was carrying around a roll of flagging tape. And I would just flag somewhere where it was easily visible when I would notice something like that, so that I didn't have to go back through and re-scout every plant. I just kind of know, okay, that area over there, I got to keep an eye on that. So that could get you a long ways down the road really cheaply.
Claudia's pepper spray.
It's really easy. And I do use it a lot, and it's great for aphids. It's great for pretty much everything across the board. Although I like this new one that we talked about today with the soap and kelp. But this one is just, you take your blender and throw in a whole bowl of garlic. You can separate it into the cloves if you want to. And then take a couple of jalapenos, throw them in, some kind of hot pepper, whatever you have in the garden.
Eggs?
And then, I don't use eggs, but...
I've got room.
Yeah. And then I just stick in a couple cups of water, and I blend it really to a total puree. And I take that mixture from the blender, and I set up a funnel over a gallon jug. So if you can imagine the funnel going into a gallon jug. It's lined with 2 coffee filters, okay? And then you just start pouring that solution into it. It takes a little while going through, and whatever you have in the bottom, then just fill that whole thing up with the rest with water to the top, and you'll have enough to last you for the season. And you stick it in a sprayer, and off you go. And I use that. I can spray leaves with it. I also, when I'm moving something from the garden that I want to save, because I'm crazy that way, I don't like to bring things into the greenhouse without double checking them, so I'll blast them with something like that before, right down. I've even taken whole roots and just taken the whole root, so it's just totally cleaned out, and which I never would have done before. But I don't want any extra varmints I can't keep a handle on in the greenhouse.